Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to Bricktober, and more importantly, welcome to the day. Happy Halloween, everyone. This is the day, this is the night. This is the night that all of the ghosts and goblins come out. This is the night for mischief and tricks. And this is one of my top 3 most festive days of the year. I am so excited that we got here, and I want to thank you all for taking the journey with me this past month. And what other way to celebrate it than with the boss himself, Count Dracula. Jada Toys, Universal Monsters, Count Dracula. And I am really excited about opening this one up. I have I don't know if affinity is the right word, but that's the word I'm going to use. I have an affinity with Count Dracula. He was pretty much my gateway into monsters. Like, even before I knew what the Universal Monsters were, I loved the lore of vampires. I read the book. I think I read Bram Stoker's Dracula like when I was 12. It was nuts. And then I would see the movies, and then we saw Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman, and I had the privilege of playing this character twice on stage. And what else is there to say? This is my guy. You know how much I love Pinhead. This is my guy, probably above and beyond even Pinhead. So what we have here is the Universal Monsters Dracula. There is another one that is coming out. It is coming out, I believe, pre-orders went up on Jada Next Level. I'll put a link to that as well as this in the description below. And the one that is on Next Level is the Bela Lugosi likeness. This is just Dracula, but the one with Bela Lugosi you get from Jada Next Level website. It is on pre-order. I think it's coming out next month, and hopefully we'll be able to take a look at that. I'm sorry, but here we have our standard retail release. We have the big window. We have a little bit of trees over here, Dracula, and some really nice font down at the bottom. On the side, we have that picture, that same picture that we've seen on the other monsters with the creature, the bride, and the monster, Universal Monsters on the bottom. A great, great shot of Drac right here on the side. And what's funny is if you take a look at it, let's bring it up closer. If you take a look at it, I think this actually is supposed to look like Bela Lugosi, even though the figure doesn't look like it. So I'm really curious to see what type of artwork they have for the Bela Lugosi likeness. And then on the back, we have all of this legalese in multiple different languages. The cross-sell for the first wave, the monster, the bride, the count, and the creature. So without further ado, let's just get this box open and let's finish the collection and let's take a look at Jada Toys Universal Monsters Count Dracula. All right, here he is, Dracula, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he stands at approximately 6 1/4 inches tall, which will pretty much put him on par, or at least should put him on par with most of our 6-inch scaled figures. Also makes him a little bit shorter than the creature, which I like that. Bringing him up closer, let's take a look at him, and before we go any further, let's get this out of the way. That the cape right here, which is more than likely going to be in the way during this review, cannot come off. I know it looks like there's just this elastic strap, this elastic band going across his neck, and that's all it's holding it on. But if you turn it around here, you can see that there are 2 pins that run through the cape into the body of the figure. And those don't just pop out. Those feel like that once they got set in there, they sort of clicked in, because if I try and pull them out, it feels like I'm going to break something. And while I wish I could take this cape off, because even in the movie, he wasn't wearing his cape the entire time. Sometimes he was just walking around in his tux. I get why it's there. Otherwise, the cape would be shifting and twisting, and it would get out of whack. And this really does help to hold it into position. So it's really one of those things. They had to make a decision. Either they put these pins in and the cape stays where it's at, or they take these pins out. You can take the cape off, but then the cape constantly moves. Me, as much as I would like to be able to take the cape off, I feel like this is the better solution to keep the cape in position all the time, including, especially with like this high popped collar. Like, it does look good on him. I wish it had a wire, and that's something else that we'll talk about later. But other than that, I don't think it looks bad. Remember, this is Jada's first time stepping into the action figure line, so they're learning as they go. So let's take a look at Drax's sculpt and his paint apps, and starting with the face, just like with the creature, just like with the bride, just like with Frankenstein's monster, I think this is a fantastic face sculpt for Dracula. I love the coloring on the lips. I love the pallor, the pale face, the the bags around the eyes, giving him those deep set eyes and just eyes that seem to like pierce into you as they're staring at you. I really like that. The arch of the eyebrows, how this one seems to be raised a little bit higher. He has his widow's peak going on right here. For not being able to use Bela Lugosi's likeness, they did a fantastic job of coming up with like Lugosi light. I think that's a fantastic job. And the gloss to the black hair, you can see the strands, the waves going through the hair. I really like that. Now peeling the cape back, he has his tux on underneath. And once again, this is a great, great. It's very simple, just like Frankenstein's monster, but it looks fantastic with the Dracula medallion there, his bow tie, the red ribbon, tuxedo vest, tuxedo shirt, coat, the little pocket square coming up here. You have little sculpts of things like wrinkles in the coat, just like natural wrinkles with the way that it would lay on the back. Very plain, just long tails for the coat. He has his buttons right here, and he has like these shirt sleeves coming out through the coat right there. And I like that. I think that is a fantastic touch right there. There was another figure that we just looked at that had shirt sleeves coming through the coat. I can't remember what it was, but I really like when they do stuff like that. Coming down to his slacks. Slacks, they are what they are. Very straight, very, very pin leg pants, but I like how they have, if you look at it, you can see that seam, that neat crisp seam going down the front of his pants. And then we come down to a very shiny pair of shoes. No traction on the bottom, but very appropriate for the time period. Really like this. Drac was very simple, very elegant, and I really like how there's beauty in the simplicity of this design. Now we have his cape, as I said, and the cape, just like with the bride's gown, the cape they could have done with taking another pass at the cape, that you have these really drastic seam lines coming down on either side. But unlike with the bride, how I said the seam lines should be in back, I like that these are down on the side, because when they lay, it kind of helps the cape lay over the arms. There is no wire in the cape, which is a shame, because it would be nice to be able to get this into some really flared, dramatic poses. I mean, it's Dracula. It's he's nothing but dramatic. But like I said, first time dipping their toe in, things to learn from, things to improve upon. I like the shade of the red on the inside. It does a really good job of matching the red plastic, the red paint on his ribbon right here. So I really like it. I really do. I mean, it's Dracula. Come on. The only thing that I would have liked better is if this would have been like an old Transylvanian style Dracula, like when he first changed and he was coming from, the motherland. And oh, I love this character. Now we're going to take a look at the articulation. We're going to bring him up forward. We're going to take a look at the articulation, and the head will do a full 360 spin. He has some really good head tilt side to side. He can kind of look up, but he can really look down. His arms, let's get the cape out of the way. His arms will do a full 360 spin. Now, the articulation for Dracula is a little limited, and I'm not entirely sure why. Because if you bring the arm up, you can't even really get it to 90. As a matter of fact, that's all the further mine comes up to. I don't know if mine is stuck, but both sides do that. So I don't know if mine is stuck or if that's just the way that it's done. I don't get why he has such limited range on the arms. And you can see if you try and push up too much, it starts to separate at the bicep swivel, just like it did with the bride. And speaking of the bicep swivel, he has one with some really decent swivel to it. Double jointed elbows, wrists pivot, or wrist swivel, and pivot in and out. Let's get your arms up there. All right. He has not much in the waist. You can feel that he has a ball joint right here underneath, but he can't go back very far because of the tails of his coat. He can go forward that much. He has some decent side to side, and he has the swivel. Coming down to the legs. His legs, however, can come way out to the side. They go forward. They go back. He has a thigh cut. Double jointed knees. And now his ankles don't really rock back. That's about all the further they'll rock back. They will rock forward. And he has a forward-facing pin for rock. But the reason they don't rock back is because of his pant cuff coming down and his shoe just meeting it right there. So there's really no play right there. His feet won't go back, but they will come forward. Coming out of the packaging, Dracula has these two types of hands. That this is sort of like a small, soft gripping hand that really is only made to hold one thing, and we'll show you what that is when we get to it. And he also has this sort of open hand right here. And then he also has these hands that are basically just like, what do you call them? Vampire hands, gonna get you hands, reaching out, grabbing, hypnotizing you, all kinds of different things. In addition to his neutral face, Dracula comes with this, his I'm gonna bite you face, and gosh, this looks fantastic. Look at the eyes, look at the fangs, just look at the expression on there. Sort of like if he was looking down at you like this, getting ready to just sink his chompers into your neck. This looks great. And it's very easy to swap out. Just take this one, pop the old one off. You see we got a dumbbell joint right there. Unlike the creature, it is not a lost cause on Dracula. And then we just pop. Come on. Ugh. That is a tight fit. And then we just pop the head on, and there he goes. He's ready to bite. And I just, look at that. The thread for the collar, the thread for the collar is coming off of the cape. It didn't rip, it's just that the thread is coming undone. So that can be sewn back on. I can't sew, but I know people that can. They'll be able to fix that for me. Well, that's disappointing. That's really disappointing. Like I said, they need work on their cloth goods. One accessory that Dracula comes with is this bat with the wingspan. Now you can see that the claws right here, his talons, are sort of curled, so it looks like he should be able to grip onto things. And I was thinking that that's what this hand is for, this open hand. But you can see that the claws just barely hold on. They don't really clip on very well, and they're very soft, but they do get on there. So he can hold on to the finger, but you see it's not a real good grip. That once you put it on there, once you put it on there, it can sit there, but it's not the sturdiest of grips. But I do like the sculpt of it. I like the design of it. I mean, it's just a regular bat. It's not made to look abnormal. It's not made to look monstrous. It's just a bat, and I like that. And then finally, he comes with this really bizarre candelabra right here, and there's a little bit of paint chip on mine. You can see that there's some paint missing right there on the tip, that if I get some gold paint, I should be able to dress that up, hopefully, and blend it, because the gold on here, at least, looks very unique, like sort of like a bronzish gold, brass maybe. I don't know. I'll have to do something to doctor that up. But this candelabra, if you've seen the movie, is used pretty much as soon as Dracula comes on the scene when Renfield enters the castle. And that is what this grip hand is for, that he comes with out of the box. That the candelabra is very soft. Whoops. The candelabra is very soft, and it bends a little as you're trying to get it between his fingers, and his fingers are sort of stiff to hold it. But there we go. There, he can hold it well once you get it in there. It figures it just has to be right there on the tip. But he looks good holding it. It has a really nice design. Looks like it came out of the movie. And I appreciate having an accessory like that. Just gotta hit it with some paint. So this is Mac from the future, and I've been playing around with him. This is after I took some of the photos, and you can see that the collar is really starting to fray, so much to the point that I might remove this cape entirely and just take it off, because I really feel like this cape is detracting from the figure itself. And I don't know what's going to happen if I try and pop these pins out, or if I should just rip the cape around these pins. But you can see that the collar is starting to fray. It's come unstitched, and I think that is from when I've had to pop the head off and then push the new head on, because the head doesn't pop off of this very easily and the new one doesn't push on very easily. And this is not the kind of figure that you want that to happen when you have this cape going here. Also, it just doesn't lay right on the figure, and you can't fold it back to get those red accents, those red highlights like I was hoping that you could, because like I thought maybe you could fold it on the crease, but it doesn't really want to do that very well. It kind of looks, see how it like sort of just falls back into place. It looks really ugly. You can fold it back behind the shoulder like so, but it just looks cheap, especially now that this is fraying. Maybe if I take the collar off, it'll look different. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like the cheesiness, the just the bad cloth goods, I feel, is detracting from the rest of this figure. And I'm fairly certain that if I looked online, I know there's somebody that Robo goes to all the time. I can't remember what their name is. I'll have to look them up on the Foosh's YouTube channel, but I'm pretty sure I could find somebody that that sells a better cloth goods cape for Dracula. Or I just rip this off and let this go like this and see what happens when the Bela Lugosi figure comes out, because it's supposed to have a wired cape and a much improved cape, but it just seems like it detracts from the figure for me. Just, it doesn't lay right. It's very light. I don't know. It doesn't look good. And now for size comparison, here he is with the rest of the Jada Universal monsters that we have so far. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Bride of Frankenstein, and of course Frankenstein's monster himself. And you can see how he's kind of like the medium that all of the other monsters would be sized up to. Frankenstein and the Creature are a little bit taller. The Bride is a little bit shorter. I'm willing to bet that when we get the Invisible Man and the Wolfman, they're going to be about on par, about the same size as Dracula. Here he is with NECA Toys, Ming the Merciless, and Hasbro Marvel Legends Lady Deathstrike. Here he is next to Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified, Cobra Commander, and Cobra Trooper, and yeah, I can't wait to put him next to Serpentor. Here he is next to McFarlane Toys, Geralt of Rivia, and Ciri from The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. Here he is next to Lanyard Toys, City Hunter Predator, and Xenomorph Drone. Here he is next to Jazzwares, Spartan Collection, Master Chief, and Noble Six. And finally, here he is with NECA Toys, Ultimate Pinhead, and me from the Valaverse Action Force Steel Brigade. So this may come as a bit of a shock to you, but I don't love this figure. I like this figure. I like this figure just fine. I acknowledge that this is, once again, as I keep saying, I acknowledge that this is Jada's first swing at action figures, and they have done a really good job, I feel, on this first wave. But unfortunately, for me, Dracula is the one that has the most issues to it, I feel. That with the cape being as secondhand as it seems, the threading coming undone so my collar is coming off, that's a big disappointment. The secondary head doesn't really fit on the dumbbell joint. I mean, you saw me trying to squeeze it on there, that it doesn't really pop. I feel like it's sort of stretching the peg hole on the inside every time I push it down. The missing paint from the front of the candelabra. not being able to take the cape off at all. It definitely needed a wire in there. I don't know, like, all of these little things individually wouldn't be a deal breaker, and it's still not a deal breaker. Like I said, I still like the figure just fine. But I feel like this has the most flaws to it. Oh, and the ankle, the foot not being able to pivot back as far as I would like it to. The lack of articulation in the waist, like he can go back kind of. He can crunch forward real well, but I don't know, the coat tails are a little too stiff to get any real movement out of him. And I get it, it's Dracula. He's not going to be doing a lot of like superhero poses and things. But I feel like with the big guy, you need to bring your A game. I still really like the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I still like Frankenstein's Monster and the Bride. And I even still like this one. I think that maybe I just had my hopes up on Dracula, considering how good the last one was, which was the Creature, and how much I really loved that figure, and how much I really do love that figure. I was hoping that Dracula would be able to take the torch, so to speak, and run with it. I still like him, but they could have done a better job with this one. Now, that's not to say they aren't going to do a great job with the Bela Lugosi Dracula that's coming out. I believe there's a whole new sculpt to him. I believe the cape is going to have a wire in it, and they've really like upped their game on their cloth goods. We'll have to wait and see. Really looking forward to that one. All in all, though, I absolutely love this Universal Monsters line that they're coming out with, and I really hope they keep going with it, because I know we're going to get the Wolfman and the Invisible Man, which I have on pre-order, and I believe that next spring we're getting the Mummy, and there are so many more. If they just keep running with this Universal Monsters theme, there are so many more that they could do. There's the daughter of Dracula, there's the creature that walks among us, there's the Werewolf of London. No, not American Werewolf in London, just the Werewolf of London. There's the characters from The Raven. There's Dr. Frankenstein himself. There's Van Helsing. Like, they could even start to bring out the human characters to pad out this line. I really want to see them just go with this line and expand on it and do great things with it. And considering it's the first line of figures that they started with, I'm kind of hoping that they will do that and they'll just keep building and building and going and going. So thank you for spending this month with me. Thank you for spending the Halloween holiday with me. We have a lot more coming up next month. In November, there's going to be a lot of catch-up to do. It's going to be a lot of Masters of the Universe. It's going to be a lot of G.I. Joe. That's probably what we're going to be focusing on the most. Even going to be getting back into what made this channel popular in the first place, which is some of the Mega Constructs Masters of the Universe. Got a lot of sets to get caught up with on that. And there is a lot of G.I. Joe to get caught up on, too. It's like all of my pre-orders just all arrived at once. My wallet is screaming at me. So until then, my friends, have a very happy Halloween tonight. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.